Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the first ever RetroRGB Writers Podcast. This is something I've wanted to do ever since I opened up the site to other contributors, because I really want to introduce all of the amazing writers to everybody else. So some people you've probably seen and heard of before, other times maybe you're not so familiar with their work. So I just want to start this on a regular basis as something where the writers can just sit down and talk about retro gaming and stuff that we like and whatever's been going on. Really just as a way for you to get to know them and now have a better understanding when you read some of the more in-depth articles that are written on where they're coming from. Now, of course, I can't get everybody who contributes all on one podcast. That would be a little insane trying to get all those people coordinated at once, but I'm going to continue to do this and each time invite new and different people on. And I also want to make sure to highlight all of the behind-the-scenes contributors that aren't ever really in front of the camera and sometimes don't even get their names on the articles because they're part of the testing part. I think being in a position that I'm in, I get to see all of the work that gets done on all sides. And I just want to make sure to celebrate and thank everyone who's ever contributed to this. So let's start out and see how this goes. We're across 4 different time zones all around the world, so I think the Skype delay is probably going to be worse than usual. So if we all talk over each other, just give us a second for the delay to kick back in and we'll figure it out. But welcome to the first ever RetroRGB Writers Podcast. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us for the first ever Writers Podcast. I really appreciate you all being here and taking the time to do this with me.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Great to be here.
So I'd like to go around and introduce have all of you introduce yourselves, and I'll just go in the order that the boxes happen to be in OBS. Ray, you want to start out?
Sure. Why not? So, many you know, I'm Ray Command. I have my own YouTube channel where I just review, at this point, just random stuff or whatever I have time to review, whatever I buy. From New York City, I grew up in the age of arcades, and I feel like I'm, super fortunate to have grown up in that time. All the 80s arcades and everything. I'm sad that they're gone. Dave & Buster's just is no replacement for them. I want to say something that may sound a little strange, but everything that I have now is because of Neo Geo.
Oh.
I owe my life to Neo Geo.
Wow.
Neo Geo made me want to learn computers because of Neo Geo, I learned how to build a computer. I learned how to use emulators, how to use file systems, and that got me jobs and advanced me in my career so much. So,
that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Vanessa, you're up.
Yes, I'm Vanessa, or also Vanessera, kind of a combination of my name and my little cousin's name. So, when you get into World of Warcraft or any other type of MMO, you need some kind of cool name. So I came up with that years ago, and it's just kind of stuck with me ever since. I am very much into kind of everything electronics, whether it's classic computers, consoles, music equipment, but I'm not at all a music person. I just am very much an enthusiast. Same with computers and consoles, very much just an enthusiast and massive fan. So I love the technology behind it. I love the history behind it. I majored in history, among other things. And so I have a really big appreciation for, the level of work that went into technology, and I don't want it to be forgotten. And some of you also may know me. I'm a community contributor for the World of Warships and Wargaming, the gaming company. So I do that also in addition to a million other things that I do.
Awesome. Thank you. Ronnie, your turn.
Cool. Yeah, sure. So my name is Ronnie, and I live in Beirut, Lebanon. I'm very far away from you guys. I'm a professional musician, and I got into gaming probably was around 91 or 92 when I first got my Mega Drive. That's what it's called here. And I played it probably until 97, 98. Then I got into computers, and I stopped messing with games probably in the mid-2000s when I got so much into music and bands and stuff like that. And I got back into it probably in 2009. And then I bought my first car TV in 2013 or 14. And then I discovered RetroRGB. And that's where I learned most of the stuff that I know now. Yeah, that's it. Now I own a super awesome stationary setup. Thanks to you.
Yeah, I see your BVM back, or your PVM,
so, yeah, it's
right?
great. It's great to be. That's a PVM 2002,
nice.
Good
And
one.
I can't imagine
Thanks.
anybody watching this needs an introduction, but would you do one anyway, Smoke Monster?
Yeah, hey. Thanks for having me, Bob. I'm Smoke Monster. I have a YouTube channel, and yeah, I'm interested in console gaming and arcade gaming mainly. Dipping my toes into PC stuff for the first time for the most part. I mean, minus, DOS computers growing up. But yeah, I enjoyed being a writer with Bob for, I think, about a year and a half now. And meeting you guys, and that's one of the thrills of my life is you find something cool and then you get to post an article on it and bring some attention to it momentarily. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that that all of the writers, but especially all of you, have in common is that we all have the quick notice posts like, hey everybody, the pre-order's open. Those are very helpful, and I'm very glad that we all stay on top of those. But the ones that always really stood out are the ones where you could tell that it's something that you were very passionate about. So the High Score Girl one from Ray, that got me to watch the show. That was really great. Some of the ones from Vanessa's computing ones, and I'm really it always paints such a different picture when you read a perspective from somebody that has genuine love for what they're talking about and not just trying to fill words in a post. You know what I mean? So that's awesome.
Right.
You're all very great at that.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah.
Acronym.
Thanks.
Acronyms. You almost got me, but you didn't last week. So do all of you have like a favorite post or anything like that? Is there one that you did that's your favorite so far?
In my case, I think it's the High School Girl one, because it's something that you don't normally see on the site. Just it was kind of an experiment for me, and I was a little worried when I hit post on that one or publish, because I didn't know how people would react. But surprisingly, people seemed really receptive to it.
Yeah, at first, because it was an anime one, I'm like, well, I mean, I'm never going to tell anybody no on a post, but I'm not sure if I get it. And then I read the post, and I went, oh, it really is. It's a TV show, but it's really about gaming. So that was cool. Anybody?
Yeah, it was a really good article. I enjoyed the reading up on it. I know that recently the RYM 2612 article, I actually didn't realize like how big that article would have been. And I got the little pop-up on it, and there was another, what's his name on Music Radar had written an article, and I went to the website and I was like, oh, wow, this is really cool. I should put a post on it. And I didn't realize, like, wow, a lot of people are really into this VST and want to, mess around with VGM Genesis Mega Drive music. And I was like, I was kind of shocked. I didn't expect it to be a big hit article. I just wanted to put it out there and say, hey, this is out there for you music lovers and Genesis Mega Drive lovers. And like, I got a lot of feedback on it. It's like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
How about you, Ronnie? You have a favorite post so far?
Yeah, I especially enjoyed the article that I wrote about the Gemma extension cables last week. That was more like a product review more than anything else. I'd like to have something to fiddle with between my hands, and then write about it. So yeah. There's one more thing. I especially enjoyed the Fortraflex, the Fortraflex article that I wrote a while ago, and I kept on calling it Fortraflex because it was around 6 a.m. here, and I was so tired, and I kept running Fortraflex. And then we found out about a week later it's Fortraflex. I was like, oh my god. So,
I asked Rachel about that. I was like, dude, why didn't you say anything? She's like, it doesn't matter. You're still pointing. The link is correct. The tech specs are fine. Whatever. I was like, all right.
Oh, she's so kind.
Yeah. So that's a good article, and those were great cables too. It's we have so many choices now
absolutely.
that everybody's almost every setup you can imagine is completely covered. So that's pretty awesome now.
And I want to just point out that I have MSX cables that Rachel custom made, and she didn't have to, but she made some MSX cables for my Turbo R, and good to go with them. I'm really impressed with her work.
Wow.
Yeah. Lots of people don't know she does like custom cables. If you can describe it, she'll build it.
Yeah, I think that's really her
I've got
specialty
a
now.
really weird one that I needed for arcade stuff that she built me that I've had for years, and it's like built like a tank. Very
Absolutely.
good stuff.
Yeah, and Vanessa also has an
down.
A24 BVM, correct? The A series of this.
Yes, the A24E1W.
With the 68K input card. So not only does she have one of the most badass monitors out there, that also means, unfortunately for her, occasionally I send her a box that's like, test this stuff, please.
Yep, test this. Yep. Yeah, and it everything has worked. Granted, I don't have a master system yet. But honestly, once I get the Genesis kind of repaired, I'll probably just use the power base converter for master system stuff because I don't really see the need when I can just have the tower of power there. And now with the Mega SD out, honestly, I'll get my CD1 repaired, but honestly, it's just going to be there for looks because watching all that stuff that you've done with the Mega SD, there's just get that. I mean, it's just so awesome.
Yeah, the other side of that too is since you have such a good monitor, or the same with people that use like an OSSC and a 4K and they take the time to tweak the OSSC, you will not be able to get, at least today, you will not be able to get the same video output of a master system as you would from like a Genesis with the triple bypass. So if you were to go out and buy a master system, you would absolutely notice the difference in video quality. So getting like the Powerbase FM from Renee or something like that, you could still use original carts and everything is the same. So I would just do that, to be honest. The only issue might be you would have to get the original power base converter and the 3D glasses if you wanted to do that. That is one thing everybody always forgets about the damn 3D glasses. I just want a 3.5 millimeter port.
I just ordered mine.
Ooh, how much did they come out to? I mean, if you don't mind filling us in on that. Like, what's the range now?
I paid $28 shipped, but they don't have the ear piece at all. So I think I'm gonna get like a workout strap or something,
Well, there's
hold them on that way. I'll look pretty
Specs.
cool.
There's generic glasses that work better than both the Nintendo and the Sega ones.
I've heard that, yeah.
And it's very few regrets since I've started the website, and one of them was when I didn't buy a pallet of brand new PVMs for like $100 each because I thought, they'll be around forever. Yeah, stupid mistake.
So,
But the next one was sorry, Vanessa, 1 second. But the next story was there was a box of 200 of those 3D glasses for like $500, and the only reason I didn't take this one is because I didn't have any place to put it, and they're all gone. And now you can't. I mean, that would have been $3 each, and now you have to spend 30 on them on eBay. So
yeah. That's what I ran into the other day looking at those LCD shutter glasses that you used to be able to get a dime a dozen or whatever, and now they're like minimum price. It's like $40.
Super
now,
comfortable.
when I looked last night.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they've gone up a lot.
yeah. Are those the same as the passive 3D glasses, like that you would get on? No. Okay.
They have to have it's like a headphone jack, basically. Any of those type work. Isn't that right? Is that right, Bob?
Yeah.
With the SMS, yeah.
Yeah. Also, with passive, you're getting about half the resolution on your TV with the way that technology works. With the shutter glasses, you get the full resolution, but you get flicker. So it's kind of a, which poison do you want to deal with type thing.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I have not watched or seen much in 3D. It's not been something that's really, I don't know, struck me as something awesome. But when they did bring Top Gun out, 4 or 5 years ago in the IMAX 3D, I was like, I gotta go see that. So that's the only movie that I've seen in 3D, and because it just, I don't know, I kind of felt it was a gimmick.
Oh, it is, and it ruins the colors. Really, is my issue with it. But video games, it's cool. I had some 3D glasses, LCD shutter glasses way back in the day because they came with one of my graphics cards. And like for Doom, they were really cool for 3D stuff. You know, games that had any sort of 3D illusion in them. It wasn't perfect back then, but it was a cool
Yeah, there was a
effect.
computer set up at the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo that was a fast computer for its time, and it was running Quake with the 3D glasses on a CRT, and it looked great.
Yeah, Quake was awesome, yeah.
Yeah, if anybody gets a chance to, Missile Defense 3D, you got to spend just 5 minutes playing it. 8-bit missiles, firing at you in 3D with a light gun. It's hilarious. I love 8-bit violence. It's perfect. And, Maze Hunter or Maze Walker if you have the Japanese version.
Yeah, Maze Hunter.
Yeah, because
3D.
it uses the 3D depth to give perspective in the game, and it's a hard game. I mean, it's a typical 80s game where you really just got to play it a million times to get good at it. But I always really enjoyed that one, and it gives some people a headache. Never give me a headache, but neither does the Virtual Boy. So,
Well, I got a chance to play with the 3D and NES core and SMS core for the Mister, and I mean, there was a little bit of crosstalk, but it was awesome, man. I love it. I hope eventually they actually bake it into to the actual core and release it. Obviously you need a 3D TV to use it, but I think everybody should get the experience, especially once the light gun support is in.
Yeah, 3D support on 3D modern TVs is a little bit tricky for the older games. You would have to patch the games themselves, I believe. But just adding the support, somebody a long time ago talked about adding, like the LCD shutter glasses for modern TVs. You could technically use that on CRTs as long as you had a receiver. So I was talking to somebody about potentially making something for the Mister that you could plug in. That you sit on top of your TV and it syncs with your CRT TV and it syncs with your new glasses. And I think that would be. I mean, now we're talking about territory where you would want the Mister over original hardware because you wouldn't be able to do that on original hardware. So that's kind of awesome.
That is a good idea. Because those active shutter glasses are still pretty cheap and in good supply out there. So it could be a good alternative. And I bet they're way higher quality, just guessing.
We should ask Ash to start the project so then we can move it on and have somebody finish it for him.
I mean, that's actually how I played it. So actually the games didn't need to be patched. I just booted them up in the 3D core for the NES or the SMS,
really?
and it just worked.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it just worked. It was amazing. Like I said, I mean, there was a little bit of crosstalk. I'm sure that it's probably some picture settings adjustments that need to be made.
That's probably what you would need the patches for, to remove the crosstalk and to get it as accurate as something like a modern thing. But I didn't know I forgot that it just worked like that. I got to try that now.
It's awesome, man. You have a 3D TV, right? So yeah, you'll be fine. Have me some coquito here while you guys talk.
Just Diet Coke for me.
Top of the morning.
Top of the morning too.
Yeah, I just have water. That's all I drink.
Oh, really?
I'm not fancy.
Yeah.
Lebanese beer.
Oh, really? Nice. Dark, light.
Nice.
What kind of is it? More of like just a lager? Or?
It's a lighter, yeah.
That's awesome.
It's fine. It's not the best, but it's fine.
Yeah, I went out last night. I forgot to eat dinner, which is, I mean, if you look at me, you would never think that I would forget to eat anything, but it happens all the time where I'm just really busy, and then I ran out to Brooklyn, and then I met an old friend I hadn't seen in a million years, and next thing you know, it's like 11:30 at night, and I'm at a vegan restaurant, and I'm like, oh man, if there was ever a time where I really needed like a juicy burger to sop up some of this. So, yeah, I love vegan food, by the way, but it's... If you've already been drinking for a while, like
So do I.
4 or 5 beers, that it hits real hard without any food in your stomach. So I am definitely not having beer until later.
I'm definitely pretty lame on that part. I've only had like water and orange juice for 12 years now. 12, 13 years. Yeah, I haven't had caffeine in 12, 13 years. No soda, no, just water and orange juice.
I'm trying to kick caffeine because I like it when it works, I like if I'm really tired and like I have a cup of coffee and I wake up, and if you just drink a cup of coffee every day, it doesn't really work as well. But I love the taste of it, so I'm going to try to, but I probably would bug Smoke Monster as I normally do, but try to find like a really good couple decaf blends so I could still enjoy the taste in the morning and not get used to the caffeine.
Yeah, like Smoke, I'm very much an insomniac, so Caffeine? No. That would not help. Not help the cause.
My nighttime tea drinking doesn't really help with my insomnia so much. And you can kind of counteract it with some melatonin, but that's not a good idea either, which is what I do.
Ronnie, is there any like really awesome coffees out in Lebanon? Are you a coffee drinker?
I don't drink coffee at all.
No,
sorry. Yeah, my wife is a big coffee fan. I just can't stand it. I mean, the smell and everything that has to do with it. I just can't stand it.
It's so funny. To each his own, man. I don't knock what anybody else does. I just I do what I do. But I don't know what it was. I used to hate the taste of black coffee, and now I really like it. So your taste buds change, or maybe all the ghost peppers I ate over the years has just destroyed my taste buds, and that's why I like it now.
Probably.
I'm the same way. I don't like the smell of coffee, and I live in Seattle, so that doesn't really help.
Crazy.
Switching to water
I know.
now.
So I want to borrow something from the Spawncast. What are all of you guys playing at the moment? You got any games? I know we're like super crazy busy.
Well, I wanted to start one tonight because I just was on a few other podcasts, and everybody always asks me that, and I always say the same thing. Like, I don't really have time to play anything, and I wanted to sit down. I got a new Nomad thanks to Smoke. It's freaking awesome, and then of course all the triple bypass Genesis consoles that we've been working on. So I wanted to start a Genesis game, and I wanted to start one that I could really sink into. And I think Crusader of Senti I was told that's a good one to play.
Yes.
Not too long, it's not going to take, it's not like a 20-hour game or something like that. And I guess the Linkle Liver story is the sort next one. So I want to play the Genesis version, and then when the Satiator, whatever comes out, and then I want to try out the Saturn version. So...
Well, you got some time then.
Yeah, he keeps saying we're just a few months away, but, let's see who's going to beat him to market. HD Retrovision and the Dreamcast cables, or Professor Abrasive and the Satiator. How about you guys?
Who's next?
I've got, let's see, I have props here, actually. So I've been playing lots of PGM, Poly Game Master arcade games lately. Got Espgaluda plugged in here because I was playing that the other day because I want to be good at it eventually. And been trying to get back into Neo Geo since I have my arcade stuff just ready to plug in. I've been without it for 3 years, so it's just cool to be home here and have your stuff again.
I have to say, on Discord, in the mods, in your mod section, there's been so many awesome looking MVS setups that people have been showing off, and it's making me really jealous.
They're gorgeous. And it doesn't cost very much to jump in.
No, and not only that, if you follow Smoke Monster's video, you could get yourself a really great MVS setup now, and there's something maybe allegedly coming soon that you could just...
coming from
you
the
could
sky?
just drop that right into, and then you'd be able to reuse anything that you bought for the current setup as long as you didn't do any crazy mods or anything. So now really is a great time to start MVS gaming because once all this other stuff comes out, the prices are just going to go up, unfortunately, like they always do. So yeah, absolutely. How about you, Ronnie? You playing any? You playing any games?
Playing the Neo Geo for a while now. Yeah, I'm trying to 1cc Shock Troopers on the MVS. That's a very tough task, and I've been into a shmup craze on the Saturn lately. I've got my RIA filled with all kind of vertical shoot 'em ups. Yeah, I've been playing Batsu Gun. I've been playing Rated Silver Gun.
Gorgeous.
Dodonpachi. Tough as nails though, but I'm trying.
Yeah, that's... Right now I've been trying to finish up my GameCube collection. I go for a curated collection. I'm not trying to collect every game for a system, but I've been trying to finish up collecting, all of these great GameCube games. It's one of my favorite consoles. And so between it and the Dreamcast, I have a really, really huge physical collection. So I've been trying to finish that up and get that taken care of. And like after that, then I'm gonna get onto the crazy stuff like the Saturn and the Sega CD, and I'm just sitting there and looking at the prices like, yeah, oh my god. So like Radiant Silvergun and Snatcher and like super insane titles like that. I don't know. Maybe at Portland Retro Gaming, maybe I'll find a good deal. Or
do I see a stack of Tayo Yudins right behind you though?
yes, you do. You very much do, and maybe those will be used for something. Yes.
There you go.
But
Oh, wow.
it's
Everybody just has them ready. I like that.
It's awesome having the actual physical, whether it's a CD or the cart. You can have it on the shelf and you can look at it and just admire just all the aspects of it. And so I know, like, I'm really trying to finish out my GameCube and Dreamcast. I think the only thing I think I really need for the Dreamcast is Technomancer. I can't think of anything else that I need for that. I have quite a few Dreamcast games, and I'm getting there with the GameCube, and then I'm going to start going back to, like the Saturn, and I want to try and find, I know, right? And I'm so sorry, I completely forgot you did send me that Grandia one, and I'm going to do something with that, but I'm hoping to find, I know there's a couple like translated, but I'm really want to see if there's a good project out there that has worked on Symphony of the Night for Saturn. I know I've seen a couple translated, but is there a project out there that's worked on some of the slowdown? We're getting more and more comfortable with Saturn, and people are, there's some people developing for it. Like, I want to see if there's like a project out there where they take that version of Symphony of the Night and kind of fix it up and, really kind of spruce it up a bit.
Isn't there something going on anyway where there's at least a quality?
There's the PS1 version.
Yeah, there's the PS1 version that's the quality hacks and the anti-dithering, and I think that looks phenomenal, by the way, especially on a CRT. But I thought there was already a project on the Saturn version to do something to improve it, but maybe not.
I haven't seen one. I haven't seen one personally. Not for the Saturn. Princess Crown, I've seen it. A Snatcher, I think, is already done.
I gotta ask Beast about that. I have a feeling he was the one that told me.
Princess Crown's been in the works for like 10 years now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And it looks like they're getting really close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to answer my own question, I've been really trying to finish up The Messenger. I'm trying to 100% it, and that is such a good game. And trying to get all those stupid power seals has been a chore, but I'm getting there. I'm just have a couple more left and really enjoying that. And then I picked up the other day, I picked up this classic for PC, another PC big box game, and totally forgot about this. And I was watching LGR's review of Ion Fury, and of course he's got like every big box game behind him, and I'm like, Oni, wait a minute, I completely forgot about that game, and I don't have it. And of course, it's not on GOG or anything. You can't find it anywhere. So I picked it up for super cheap, and I can't wait to get into this game because I know a lot of people like it.
So you said you were playing The Messenger. To just beat it, not to 100% it. How long do you think that would take?
I don't know, because I'm kind of methodical in my gameplay. I like to, I love watching Zost, speed run Super Metroid, but I don't, I got 100% Super Metroid, every time I play it. So, I go through and just enjoy the game, but, I've just got to 100% it. So I'm not really a good person to ask on, oh, yeah, it might take this many out, maybe 5-6 hours.
Okay, so it's not like a super long 30-hour game type of thing then, right? Okay.
No. And Bloodstained, I've got 40 hours into it, but I did crazy amounts of farming. I farmed all the shards. I did all the side stuff and map completion, everything that you could do in that game. And also just kind of mess around and just kill stuff because it's such a fun game. But The Messenger, I mean, I guess if you blast through it, if you're comfortable, if you liked Ninja Gaiden, but then there's that twist where it turns into a Metroidvania. I mean, you've got a lot of exploring and stuff that you can go back and do and 100% it. But for an average gamer, I just don't know how long it would take. But I would say maybe if you're just kind of going through it, just trying to beat it, maybe 5-6 hours, if
I keep
not
meaning
less.
to try that one, and I keep forgetting for some reason. And with all the awesome retro stuff I have, the last few games I've completed were on the Switch, and I'm like, you know what? They'll be there. They'll still be on the Switch. Let me go back and try some of these retros. Ray, did we skip you? Did you say what you were
It's an
playing?
outstanding game.
Oh,
Oh no, I haven't touched it. But it's been so interesting, I forgot about me. In my case, I don't know if you guys saw the post. One of my buddies was like, have some games I want to give you, and I was like, okay. So he gave me this insane Neo Geo CD collection. So I've been on Neo Geo, heaven the last couple of days, in addition to the Mister. So it's a stack of stuff he gave me just for Neo Geo.
Whoa.
Awesome.
It's Dreamcast stuff.
is that all different regions?
But mostly Japan, and it's like 1 or 2 USA games here. But Neo Geo doesn't really matter. It's about what
Right.
BIOS you're running.
Did you ever get the BIOS replacement done on that?
No, I mean, it takes forever for me to get to Brooklyn, so it's those things.
I didn't realize it until after we had talked about that, but you have to manually convert the size of the chips. So basically, you have to manually wire each individual pin from a big chip to a little chip on those, which is why it's generally more expensive. And I just wish there were pin adapters out there that could be designed for this.
I think Brian Hargrove is working. I think he said he's going to pick up work on that again soon. He's the guy who makes the Neo BIOS Master, and he had a CD solution at one point or something. But I think he posted something.
I just
about
wait
that
for
recently.
that then.
Yeah, what's brought up. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. But in my case, between that and the Mister, I've really gotten hooked on King of Fighters 95 again. I used to love it back then, and I just never got over that game. I can
You
play
got to
that
see if
forever.
you can switch to KOF 02 and then head down to the Brooklyn crew like you saw that day when we went down to the tournament. They take that seriously down there. They have some amazing players.
Yeah, I was pretty good at it for a while, but it's been years. I'll probably get my ass kicked. Especially the way they change up Orochi Yashiro and Noma Yashiro. I can't, I would have to readjust to those characters again.
Yeah, I'm not really good at fighter games, except for Soul Calibur. That's like the one fighting series that I've always loved. So I've got most of the Soul Caliburs and Soul Blade and Edge, and I did play a lot of Street Fighter, and I love Street Fighter 2. But yeah, I try and play against other people and like, no, you win. I just enjoy the game. I enjoy the aspect of it.
MK1 is the only one. Oh,
And love that Virtual Boy Street Fighter that you had going on.
Oh, that was so much fun. People, when I had that set up, Arturo Sabin, I told him, like, hey, just give me a corner in the back. I don't want to be in anybody's way. And he's like, no, I want it in the middle of the downstairs retro room, in the middle. I'm like, oh, dude, like, I don't want to be a bother to somebody. He goes, just trust me. So we put the setup in, so you have the two Virtual Boys facing each other, and then you have the RGB monitor kind of propped up behind it a little bit higher, so anybody in the room could see what's going on. And people were coming down the stairs, turning around and going, what the hell is that? And the next thing you know, people really seem to enjoy it. Even there was like 99% positivity, including from people that walked up going, why would I want to play that? And then they gave it a try and they're like, wow, that's actually really neat. And so it was cool to see some of the real experts going, oh, well, they pulled, the gameplay feels like it's from this version, but the graphics feel like it's a mix of this version and that version. And there were some hardcore fans that really understood the game, and it was awesome to see that. So I want to do something like that again. I just recently lent my Virtual Boy out to a YouTube channel that's doing a thing on it. So
Cool.
That's
one of my litmus. One of my litmus tests for people is, I mean, you see these people going around insulting the Virtual Boy online, and you can tell they've never played one, or they played one with a blurry lens or something, with a problem. Because a really nice Virtual Boy in good condition, everybody will love that. It's an awesome experience, even if it's maybe gimmicky in some way.
somewhat.
It's just it leaves a real cool impression.
I'm looking
on
for
you.
a second if I ever discover
mine-
one, just so I could have both here to have a 2-player setup for like 2-player Mario Tennis or something. It's for fun.
Yeah.
Mine didn't survive the move, so it worked before and worked really good, and yeah, now it's just on display.
I know a bunch of people that could fix
So I
that,
can
so
get it
that's
fixed.
no problem at all.
You know, I'm actually surprised, and forgive my ignorance, but is there... I know I've heard of talk of this, but is there someone who has taken any of those Virtual Boy games and tried to homebrew it onto the 3DS? Has anyone thought of doing that?
Well, there's not necessarily that, but there's Red Dragon is the 3DS, the older Virtual Boy emulator for it. That's really good, but it only supports a couple games and it's really buggy. And then Guy Perfect is working on the Virtual Boy forums. He has a Patreon actually to create a new 3DS emulator. The catch being that I don't think there's been an update on that for like a year. So.
Yeah.
But it's
I
one
don't
of
know
those
if we'll
things,
get it.
like it's one of those things where you think about why did Nintendo think of this? It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like it would just be an easy moneymaker. I mean, I don't know how much work would be to port it, but it just seems like it will be worth the time.
Yeah, and it gives them like 20 new games they could sell too, and they're
Even just Wario and Tennis would be
like-
enough, you know? Give 2-player, enable 2-player mode in Tennis that already exists, and now you can play it on your 3DS. Release that in Wario, and you make a ton of money. But it seems like they're deliberately trying to erase that from their past, you know?
Yep.
Because I think like Street Fighter on that would probably be a pretty good experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would.
Is there a Virtual Boy core on the Mister yet?
No, a Virtual Boy is pretty powerful, actually. That's the thing. It has like a pretty powerful 32-bit processor in there. Let's see. It's the same one that's used... what is it? It's used in some powerful computer of the day or something like that. Yeah, it's beyond Mister probably for a long time. I imagine we would get like Game Boy Advance or something before we got Virtual Boy.
Probably, yeah.
Right.
Good question, though. I mean, I'm always hoping for those.
They're both
always
a long
hoping
way
for a
off.
good core to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious where, development will start to slow on the Mister, like where it's going to kind of settle until like the next round of powerful, cheap FPGAs.
Yeah, that's something I'm always interested in, the hardware side of things. So it's I've been kind of keeping my ears open and listening to when the new versions of like the DE10 Nano are coming out. And I haven't heard anything yet, but everybody on the Mr. team assures me that it's going to be comparatively super easy to port to any new FPGA platform. So it's not like any of the stuff is going to get lost if a new version of the FPGAs come out or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, once they're in hardware description language, it's relatively... That's the hard part, is getting them in. And then I guess for people who know how to do this stuff, it's relatively easy to move them around between... even from VHDL to Verilog and stuff like that. Or to from a Xilinx to a Spartan or something like that.
Do all of you have a Mister?
I do not.
Ooh.
Eventually.
Yeah, I still
Eventually.
didn't get any.
Oh. Yeah, it's just about the time where if you like tinkering, it's certainly worth getting. It's a good experience, especially if for things like a Super Graphics. At this point, there's only a handful of games, so own a Super Graphics if you're a collector or if it's your favorite system. But if not, just get a Core Graphics and get a Mister and all the add-ons for the Mister and everything else, and it's still cheaper than just the Super Graphics console. So.
No, it's definitely one of those things. But there's so many bits of hardware. That's like, what do I finish? Do I finish out my GameCube collection? I've also trying to line up another CRT projector. That's kind of the things that I'm trying to do right now. I don't feel like of stuff on CRT projector with gaming, and so I'm trying to get this other one, and maybe trying to help contribute to the site on using CRT projectors for gaming, and the ins and outs and the frustrations, and if it should be something that people should pursue. And it's right now that's something I'm kind of trying to line up, and obviously the X68000 is kind of my last big like retro pickup that I need to get. I just got my MSX, and I've been sitting on my Amiga 4000T, but I have no software. I've got this great bits of hardware, but I don't have any software. So I'm trying to line up software and get a bunch of legitimate stuff to actually use these things and kind of showcase them. And so I'm like stretched. It's like, yeah, I could jump into the Mister now, or I could finish up some of the other projects that I'm trying to do. And I got my Kescher right after Voltar did, so I'm pretty sure I have one of the good ones because I got it like right after he said get this one. So I've got plenty of MIDI modules that are going to need recapping. I've got some sound cards that are going to need recapping, and I want to get into soldering and learning how to fix my stuff. We've got plenty of cartridges that batteries need changing, so there's a ton of things like on my plate. And so Mister is like, yeah, it's there. I know it's going to be there. I can get it maybe next year after I've gotten all these other bits of hardware, and then I can start focusing on the software, and then maybe get the Mister and maybe get a Switch. I'm fine with my Wii U for the moment, and I've got 300 games on Steam, 200 on GOG, a whole wall full of, physical games to play through. My backlog is so crazy that, like, I don't know, I've given up. So, things like, oh, I gotta have a Switch now. I'll get it when I get it.
You'll never be able to play all the games, so.
No. No.
So
I'll get it when I get it.
So what monitors is everybody using? That's something I'm always interested in. And Ronnie, I see you have your PVM, but you also have, it looks like, a CRT VGA monitor on its side in tape mode, right? Tate mode, whatever. Sorry.
Correct. Yeah.
Nice.
I got the Sony PVM20L2. That's mainly my 15 kilohertz go-to monitor. Then I got two Samsung VGA CRTs. Those are SyncMaster 793DF. The other one is in Tate mode, obviously. The one behind me is in normal mode. And I got the OSSC hooked up to both of them. So... yeah, I never actually use my OSSC on my flat screen. I use it for those two.
That's a perfect use for it, too, because zero lag. It works perfect with the VGA stuff, so that's great.
There you go.
That's awesome. Smoke, what do you still have? I know you had the 29-inch when I was there, right? Or the 20-inch?
No, I have 5 PVMs, but the one I brought to San Diego with me is the PVM 2030, 20-inch, and I play about 2 feet away from it here, so it looks pretty big.
What are the other ones you have?
Probably look big because my place is so small. I have a 19-inch, I forget the model number, a slightly older Sony, really nice one, and then I have 3 8-inch of the Sonys with the RGB
Those are great.
inputs, which I got a steal on, so I really wish I had brought one of those with me to have a tape mode screen here. But I've also got like 65-inch TV that I think you recommended, and then I have a monitor that I can rotate here on the side with OSSC plugged into it.
Ray, you still rocking that consumer grade TV?
So,
the one with the component inputs?
Yeah, so I have the Daewoo or something like that. I forgot what the hell. No, it's an Insignia component CRT 19-inch.
Nice.
Does his job. It's fine. So I got it mostly because it was $20 and I could play my light gun games on it, so that makes me happy. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, in my living room I have a Sony 55X 850C.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic, Android TV, works great. The only thing that doesn't work with it is Super Nintendo, obviously in component.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else I've thrown at it in when HD RetroVision cables works flawlessly.
That's awesome.
Like it actually supports the 240p. And then in my bedroom I have just picked up the TCL, the 615R with the OSSC, and it works fantastic.
Yeah, it works in all modes too, right?
Pretty much anything I thrown at it works.
No, what other monitors do you have, Vanessa? Because we talked about the 8th 24, but didn't you have multiple RGB monitors at some point?
Well, I don't have. Well, I mean, I got the Ayama right here. It does have BNCs. That's a 19. I got a ViewSonic right over here. I've got the 824E1WU. Behind me, I've got a passive 3D Sony. It's a 40 something inch. I can't remember. In the other room, I've got a 65. Oh God, what is it? Can't think of the brand. It was one of the ones on. It was one of the ones that had like an 11 or 10 millisecond on HDMI 5 for gaming.
Either Vizio
So-
or probably yeah, those are the ones that
Vizio.
have the specific gaming ports on there.
Yeah. So I got the Vizio. Shockingly, like I barely use it. I've done really just kind of Wii U on it, and I've got a Spice Orange Japanese GameCube that Ben from iFix Retro did the HDMI mod on it. And so I've got that hooked up as well. Looks amazing. But honestly, I don't really monitor. I've got a big 32 inch monitor for my computer here. And then I've got the Barco 800 graphics series CRT projector down in the garage. So I've got quite a few displays, and honestly, if I'm doing the classic gaming, it's got to be on a CRT. I've got a 27-inch Toshiba in the garage as well. So got to, that's always my thing. People ask, it's like, just get a CRT. Look on Craigslist. Look on OfferUp. People are giving them away, like really good CRTs.
Mm-hmm.
Just go and pick it up and throw your consoles on it. You don't need a BVM. A BVM is nice, and it is definitely a different gaming experience.
But you don't need it.
If you've got component on a really, a mid, a late, or I should say early, like 02, 03, Sony, Toshiba, Panasonic CRT monitor, or just TV, and you're running component on it, you're going to have an amazing experience. I mean, it's funny. We talk all about this, and it's funny because I was big into this stuff like years ago. I was working for FuncoLand and Babbage's a long time ago, and we would have people trade in like monster cables, and of course there was a generic SKU, so I would just turn around and buy them for $2.99. So I've got like monster cables, and I had S-Video. I had like all the best cables I could, in late 90s, early 2000s on all my consoles, because it's like I cared about vision quality or image quality even way back then. Of course, now I'm like losing my vision, so it's hard to see stuff now, but that's what the CRT projectors are for.
Yeah, that's something I really wanted to get into. If I had the room, I would collect CRTs. That's the only thing that I think I would love to go overboard on. Just all different sizes and tubes and everything else. But I don't think I'll have time, or I'll have room for quite some time to get into projectors. I was able to pick one up. I looked it up, and I think it was like $10,000 or something when it was new, and I got it for $100, and I ended up giving it to John from Tasty Chicken in Bensonhurst because I just didn't have any room for it. I was really hoping to at least get it set up somewhere to try it out and really see how it looked. But have any of you ever seen CRT projectors with old games in person?
I would love to, but no.
Yeah.
I remember them in, the room in the back of the audio video stores where they would have like Jurassic Park on and a leather couch and stuff.
Right.
Back in the day in the malls, but I've never seen it for a game.
Yeah, the only
The scan lines.
Do light guns work with those?
yes.
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay.
Wow.
The only time I'd ever remember seeing one, it was like a cheap, crappy one. So it was, it basically was one of the ones where you're, why am I, like your coffee table in front of your couch is the projector, and then it projects on the wall. And it was meant to be just a cheap one, a cheap way to get a very big screen. So it looked pretty terrible. But I mean, that's not fair. That's like saying the $100 CRT you get at the bargain bin. That's like saying that's what a CRT gaming experience is like. So definitely not a fair comparison. But at the very least, I want to see one set up, and have like a giant light on wall and just have some fun with it somewhere. So
The scan lines are insane on 240p
Oh, wow.
on it. Oh my god, it's incredible. I hope if I can get this CRT projector and get everything set up, I'll take as much like photos and everything as I can and try and document, and because it's incredible. It really is.
that's awesome. Now you get me all fired up for it.
I've seen pictures of, I think Ratboy has a CRT
Yes.
projector set up. Looks pretty awesome in the pictures, yeah. I'd like to see it in person.
So kind of a random question in relation to this. So for everybody that has a significant other, how do they feel about your collecting, and do they give you hard times about collecting CRTs and taking up space and stuff like that, or are they pretty supportive?
No, I mean it's
No.
pretty supportive. I'm the one that gets pissed because I don't want to walk around with my own clutter. But tiny little apartment. I'm trying to do this for a living, so I have no other choice. So I think when my wife sees how annoyed I get with my own crap, she doesn't even need to say anything. She knows.
Yeah,
I think
awesome.
my wife wants to have me like institutionalized. It's bad. Yeah, no. She's very supportive.
My partner is a programmer, and we fight about what is better, Super Metroid or Symphony of the Night. And no, it's like she's the most massive Legend of Zelda and Castlevania fan you could find out there. And so we jokingly refer to our place as the Temple of Tech, but like it is no joke. We really have like the Temple of Tech going on here because we love technology.
That's awesome, Ronnie. It looks like you have like an office down there, right?
Yeah, kind of. Just one thing I wanted to mention. My wife is so supportive that she let me take my old consumer grade CRT. That's a 21-inch grounding, a SCAR TV, and it's now at her parents' house. So she's she's that much of a fan. So,
That's awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah, she's keeping
Good
it.
TVs are good TVs. They should be saved, especially CRTs.
Agreed.
Yeah, I was heading home the other day and I saw somebody put a 42-inch Sony just on the curb, and I wish I could have picked it up, but it was just me. And
You should have called me. I'd have jumped right on the train.
And one more person.
all the way down to Westchester.
Pick it
right?
Yeah, jeez. Oh man, I've seen so many like that. There's a story. It's a 100% true story. It sounds like it's not, but there was an arcade cabinet that Jose was working on, and the TV or the tube in it, he kind of got it okay. It was a little off. It was good enough, but they were having a tournament there, and it certainly wasn't up to Jose's standards. Let's just put it that way. And then he gets off the train and he's walking to Brooklyn Video Games, and he sees somebody just putting out like a JVC TV or something like that. He's like, I think that's the same tube as the arcade monitor. So he picks it up, walks into the shop, and does a tube swap with a curbside CRT. So I thought that was absolutely awesome. I would love to, once again, I'd love to just start collecting these things and see what you're good, toss the rest.
It was meant to be.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I still need to get out to New York. I mean, some of you know I work for Delta, so I can just hop on a flight and get out there. And I need to go to Brooklyn Video Games and see all of you.
It's one of the few places that I've ever seen where you could walk in and just have an RGB setup right there to test anything. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And it's good too, because I can't imagine, even me being a nerd, if I hadn't seen this in person, I can't imagine ever being able to have it explained to me in a way where I would understand, where if you just walk in and see a Sony BVM powered on and playing a game, there's no explanation necessary. It's, what the hell is that? So it's cool that they have that. And, the dual arcade streaming setup and everything. It's definitely a fun place. I was just there yesterday, and I just picked up a cheap TurboGrafx game, Final Lap Twin.
Nice.
I don't even know the game, to be honest with you. I just needed another testing cue card. So
I think it's Super Monaco GP-ish, if I remember correctly. It's been a while.
Right.
yeah, I thought so. I was hoping to
I think
pick
it
up
is.
Bonk or one of like the really cheesy classic TurboGrafx games, but they didn't have any of those there. They had some of the rarer ones, but they were they're fairly priced. But I was just looking for a beat up test game. So Final Lap Twin it is.
That
So
works. No, go
which
ahead.
monitor do you have in there, Bob? I see a BVM next to you. So of all of your CRTs, which one makes it into the room there? Oh,
So
okay. There's two more.
The
behind
one
you.
on the left is a JVC 17-inch. The one on the right's that 14 M2U that I've been using. Right next to me is a 9-inch BVM that's the most incompatible monitor I've ever seen. And I love it because if it works on this, it works on everything. And then I got below me is a spare of the 9-inch BVM and an 8-inch PVM. I kind of have it hidden in the bottom shelf, so I try to use every inch of this place. And then I got the 32-inch TV that Jose and I just did a full recap on. That was dropped out the back of an Uber the other day, and I almost started crying. I went to the Defend the North event. And we were stuck in traffic. I called an Uber XL, and the guy was so nice, and he's talking to me, and he jumps out, and he's trying to be friendly and pick up the tube. But, I always tell everybody, please don't, let me take it. It's really heavy. I'm used to carrying these. And they see me, and they just assume, I'll help out. And the guy opens up the back, and the tube goes flying out, and I froze. Normally, I'd run in, and I'd grab it, and because I probably spent 20 hours on that thing, from Danielle and I doing the cap kit to Jose and I recapping to everything else. And we got it back in, and it scratched some of the glass, so we buffed it out and everything. But you can't really notice it when it's on. But it's one of those, we got it inside, and I don't normally get phased by things, the world could be crumbling around me and I'm calm until it's over, and I'm stunned. I still was my eyes were just, and Beast comes over and he's if you don't want it, I'll take it. That thing's still perfect, forget about the scratches. So he kind of made me laugh and forget about it. But yeah, that one was kind of heartbreaking. And then I just have two other crappy little consumer grade TVs that I keep for the expos that I've been doing, because I put it next to a PVM and show everybody the differences and stuff. And of course the D32 is over there, which I use as little as possible, because both because I want it to last forever and because I want it to be a special occasion when I turn it on. I know that might sound weird, but I'll never use it for testing. I only use it if I need it in a video, or if it's I have a whole hour and a half where I don't have to do anything else. Let me turn this thing on and get sucked into a game and enjoy it. So, yeah. But I would have so many more. Oh, I also have it's called a Brian Vega Algol, and it's from 2003, and it's made to look like a 1960s TV, and it's got a universal SCART input, so it could do NTSC and PAL over RGB. So that's another one where I like the way it looked. So, but
I saw some cool TVs like that in Brazil. They were modern, CRTs from the end of the era, but they were in retro 1960s styling.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Cool.
If I ever see other ones of these, I'll definitely get it. And I emailed the company. The company's out of business, but there's still a support email. And months later, I got a response with a service manual, because I wanted to see if I could change it over to NTSC, and you can. And they said all you got to do is take it all apart, change these couple of chips. So I keep threatening Jose that I'm going to buy those chips and deliver this to him to have him work on this with me. So I think he'd find that to be a really fun project, but it's always super time consuming. So
Yeah, that's one thing I would love to find, like an XM29 or something, just to like repair that, get that going, and use that as like, and I know that the A24 is practically new, but I'm the same way. It's like I use that for special occasions, or like people come over and I'm like, oh yeah, you think you know Super Mario World, or you think you know the Link to the Past or Super Metroid, and I'll fire that up and they'll just the look on their face is like, "Oh my God." And they're playing it and then I'm like, "Okay, now play like the SNES, mini and on a TV and then like okay, now do the same level on the BVM. Notice the lag, notice the input. Try playing Street Fighter 2. All right, now try playing Street Fighter 2 without any lag." And just like their eyes are just open because they just don't realize how much input lag is there. And it's like, wow, I never knew, I thought I just sucked at the game. It's like, no, it's the input lag. It's like, I remember, this kind of spurred me onto, Ray, you were talking about Neo Geo earlier. I love like Mega Man X. So I'd play like Mega Man X and I'd be like, why am I sucking? I'm like playing on the emulator on the computer. It's like, I don't remember being this bad. I used to be really good at this game. And it's like, oh, it's all the post-processing and input latency and, screen latency. And I go and I play it on the BVM and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I didn't suck. It was just all the input lag and everything. And that just opened my eyes to, my God, I didn't realize, LCD and LED TVs, they look amazing, but they're also fraught with their own issues. And just because we moved on from CRT TVs doesn't mean that that technology is, at least in my opinion, or for my use, obsolete. I still have a need for CRT. And then, that spurred on to, well, I need it for classic computer gaming because I'm a PC gamer first. And, then it's like, well, I'm going blind. So, well, now I need CRT projectors because I need to be able to see. And,
So,
I think the first time I ever noticed it was when I was playing Mega Man 2, the Bubble Man stage. And it's that, towards the beginning, there's that little part where you have to hop to get to the waterfall. And I was like, why do I keep falling here? I couldn't figure out what it was, and then I finally got my CRT, and I breezed right through it. I'm like, okay, it's lag.
Yeah, the first time I saw lag demonstrated perfectly was the Phone Dork video where he's swearing at Mega Man, because it was funny, but it was also the perfect example of why lag will never work right for these games, because it's not always 2 frames of lag. It's variable, and that's how you get it all screwed up like that. So,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Ronnie. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
How do you guys feel about gaming on 14-inch monitors?
I'd be fine.
14 is great. Yeah. I've got that same Toshiba.
For
that
gaming,
have,
not for testing.
Yeah, I used to have like a Toshiba 14-inch with the component inputs on it, 14AF, whatever it is. But the thing is, you just have to be really close to it. So it was like dedicated. I used that one for NES and 7800 because they were, like my NES wasn't RGB modded. The 7800 could only do S video, so it's nice to have them on a smaller screen. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it seems really small until you get really close to it.
Yeah, for me, for whatever reason, I just prefer the 20-inch size. Also, the spacing of the characters and everything, the scan lines and all that. But there's definitely times where I'll think something looks better on the 14-inch. So it's, my advice to people is always, if you have the opportunity to get any PVM, get it, period. And then, once you have something and you're able to game on it, then get picky and go look for other stuff. But just having one is always better than not having one. So
I like even 8-inch. I'm the only person on earth who does, but I mean, like, wow. It looks so crisp and clean. But yeah, you have to be really close. I mean, like a Vita, PlayStation Vita was that 4-inch, 5-inch screen. We always thought that was a big screen. It's kind of the same deal. It's like you just gotta have it way up in your face.
My cousin
one of those
Scott
deals.
has his 8-inch monitor, vertical for Tate, and he has a Raspberry Pi hooked up to it, and he's got it in a shelf that's perfectly at eye level. So whenever he just he's looking around, it's like, all right, I got to leave in 5 minutes. I just want to play a quick game, and he'll flip it on, and he'll stand right in front of it, and he absolutely loves it. He thinks it's like the perfect little time killer arcade machine thing. So yeah, there's as long as you use it in the right environment, any size will work fine.
I keep
supposedly
laughing.
There was a study a long time ago saying that the bigger the TV gets, the worse you actually play, because your brain has to process it. It's like a brain processing thing. So you see something is bigger, it's like your brain has to figure it out. It takes longer. So a smaller screen, you actually supposedly play better.
Interesting.
Yeah, I could say it because
That could be, yeah. Like I like shoot 'em ups. I do better, I think, on handhelds for shoot 'em ups and like some puzzle games too. Dr. Mario for sure.
That's interesting because your eyes are always focused on the entire screen, whereas on a bigger TV, you're always changing your view. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like, I used to be okay at first-person shooters on PC, and that could just be an age thing too. But I, growing up, I think my PC was a 14-inch monitor, and so for the longest time I had that, and then I had a 17 when I upgraded to a Pentium 2, and used that 17-inch ViewSonic forever, and that at a good distance you see everything. Now I'm on like a 32-inch, and I played. If I try and play a first-person shooter, it's like I just get destroyed. But it just, I was gonna quip, and I keep laughing because every time you talk about tape mode, all I can think of is Dave from GameSack in the last episode going off. I don't know if you saw the last episode.
No, I didn't.
Tape mode.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Pretty awesome.
It was really funny. Really, really funny.
I went into their Discord specifically to request an animated GIF, but someone already made it, so.
So I wanted to ask, is there anything coming up in the next 6 months or year, or something that you guys are most excited for in the gaming world? Doesn't matter if it's retro or new or whatever else. Is there anything coming up that you're really fired up for?
Like products?
Yeah.
Or events?
I guess products or games, like anything, anything that you've been excited on that's coming out. I guess the Jag SD doesn't. I don't know if that counts because it's shipping to some people already. But I mean, if that's what your thing is, but stuff like that, stuff we've been waiting on for a while.
Dreamcast HD Retrovision cables.
I can't guarantee that they'll be out in the next year, though.
Well, I know, but I keep in the back of my mind, like, okay, maybe the anniversary, the US launch, and maybe they're gonna like surprise everyone and like have these cables ready. But I love my Dreamcast to death, and I know I need to get those cables from Rachel, and I've got the Turo, I've got everything. But if I could just have those and like be able to play Air Force Delta, it's like the one freaking game that like you can't, it's stuck in 480i or whatever. You can't do anything with it, and it's like it's one of my favorite games on the Dreamcast. And like I just keep hoping, please, I hope that HD Retrovision comes out and I can get the best quality image from that game on my Dreamcast.
Well, a trick that I keep meaning to do a video on is if you get a DC HDMI and you just get a really nice HDMI to component or HDMI to VGA converter, you get the benefit of 480p for all the games and the best quality output for one. So I kind of want to do a little bonus episode, like a 5-minute thing, just for people to, if you're a crazy person that loves the Dreamcast, that wants the best even on analog, you could still do that with the DC HDMI and have access to the whole library. So I just keep forgetting to do that. Jose's got a really nice Samsung SyncMaster VGA monitor that I really want to do a video on that and just show that connected to it. But yeah,
his Diamondtron that he had set up at iFix. I always reference that as the greatest. Because I've never seen a great BVM in person, but that's the greatest monitor I've ever seen. He had a Naomi 2 hooked up to it, so I assume it would be the exact same thing with the Dreamcast. I mean, it was like, and I think everybody who went in the room just kind of stopped.
It stopped people dead in their tracks every time they walked in. Yeah, that was such an impressive monitor. I'd love that one. So.
In my case, I think it's I got Micro Mages recently, and that game is like super awesome. If you haven't played it, especially with 4 players, you need to try it. It's awesome. But that's the stuff that hasn't come out yet. I'm cautiously optimistic and hoping for the best with the Arcade 1-Up Ninja Turtles cabinet. I'm hoping that comes out good. My experience with them so far hasn't been the best, but there's always hope. It just sounds like it'd be fun to have.
You can do those mods to it too that you do. Would be cool.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't want to. I just don't want to mod the cabinet. It's like a piece of art in more than an actual gaming machine for me in most cases. But I'm hoping it turns out well. Hopefully they're taking their time with this one. I think it's supposed to have a light up marquee and stereo speakers and all that good stuff this time. So it looks like they're actually spending time to make it somewhat quality. It's just the emulation.
Well, there's 2 versions of the Street Fighter cab because apparently they listened to people and they actually had a Rev 2 that were a little bit tweaked on it. So. They still won't return any of the emails from people in the scene who are experts at this. They won't send the free units to the people that they know will really do an in-depth analysis. So that kind of is a sign that curb your expectations. It's not going to be perfect, but that did crack me up when they reached out to a bunch of people I know, and then everybody responded, and they only responded back to the people who would not give a detailed review. So it's a sign of what to expect.
Yeah,
I couldn't fit their stuff here, anyways.
Also, I didn't even get to that.
I can't wait for Vertex Neo Geo CD ODE to come out.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That should be awesome.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And a couple of arcade projects, multis, like the Sega 16B multi and the CPS one, the big one.
Yeah, the CPS one's going to be impressive. I already, a buddy of mine, Eric, hooked me up with a Street Fighter CPS one full kit, and they're both with Jose now, having the HDMI kit installed in that. So they're going to be, fully pimped out CPS ones with all the game, dual output, and all that stuff. So. I'm even talking to Greg of possibly maybe making a case for those too. So I know Greg just ordered, I don't know if it came in yet, but he just ordered the biggest 3D printer he's bought yet. So, he's like us with his toys. I'm sure any excuse now to use something that big, he's probably really enjoyed making a case for it. So I hope that comes out at some point.
That would be cool.
That has to be, it ceased to amaze me how much the community, like if there's an issue, a problem, something to be solved, there is someone in the community like coming up with a solution, and that's just so cool. It's like, oh, we could use one of these. Oh, I can do that, and someone just steps up, and that's just the beauty of this community.
Yeah, Greg especially. He can whip things out really fast. It's really impressive. His mind must just work in 3D or something.
I always joke that Greg is saving our consoles one piece of plastic at a time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of, I've got some.
Nice. All right.
Let's see. I did an article on this, but he did a 32X riser ahead of time. This was way before the Mega SD was ever announced or even teased that it would have any sort of 32X support, but he just made it anyways, just because he can. And now all of a sudden that we're getting 32X support through the DAC, it's pretty awesome. And yeah, it looks really good, actually. I mean, in my opinion.
The Tower of Power.
Yeah.
It looks great. I'm still waiting for my Mega SD to ship.
Oh, really? I just got mine the other day. They're my official ones. So,
yeah, people are getting them.
Terra Onion donated the one that they lent me to the triple bypass team so that we could do all the MD4A tests now across all the different revisions. So awesome. I passed that along and got mine and Scott's in the mail. So it's The plastic of the production version is just a hair better. So there's nothing wrong with the demo that I got. I mean, I thought it looked cool and everything, but it's like a little bit darker and a little bit more, I don't know, it's just a little better. So anybody that gets the Mega SD now,
Richer.
yeah, a little richer. It's you'll be happy when you open up the box. It's a cool thing.
I can't wait for mine. I've got my Genesis 3 triple bypassed.
Oh, you did. So did you also do the re-enabling of like 32x mode and all that in there?
Not yet.
In my opinion, that's harder than doing the triple bypass because you have to solder those tiny little pins. But if you've got a triple bypass, you're good to go. And the cool thing too that we've been testing in, we're working on version 2 of that, but the quality is identical. You don't get a quality boost from version 2. It's just designed to make it easier for sellers to just have one. And we did find some tweaks with the MD Fourier software, so we'll publish that soon. But if the sound doesn't sound perfect to you, you could replace like 2 resistors and now get it up to the or maybe 3 or something. But anything that we've gained from the version 2, you don't have to redo your mod. You could just, if you even care about it, you could change the few resistors. So I was really, to be honest, I was worried about that when as soon as we started testing with MD Fourier, I was like, oh, now we have a metric, and now we really know what's right or wrong and what's going to happen to the first version of the triple bypass. But no, it's totally fine. So we all got lucky with that.
And we were all vindicated recently because I saw Firebrand X posted the other day. He did a full recap on, I think, a Genesis 3.
Genesis 1 VA3.
Was it a mine. Genesis 1? Okay, VA3, yeah. Oh, the good one, yeah. That's one I've got right here. Yeah, and the results are in, and it really made a nice little improvement. It cleaned it up and balanced the stereo perfectly. So, like, all of us who have done shotgun recaps just based on, well, they're past their lifespan big time by now, the rated hours and everything. Even if they work fine, there is still a benefit to doing that stuff.
It's great to see, because every nerd already knows that, but it's great to see a real world visual example of here's how we've proven that even if your caps aren't leaky, it's good. And also just the basic practice of taking something that was designed with consumer grade products in mind, something that was designed to last maybe 10 years. No matter what, when you put these brand new capacitors in there that are really high quality and expensive, not expensive if you're doing one recap, they would be expensive for Sega for making millions of them. They're going to last forever. It's going to look and sound better. So yeah, it's I'm glad we get to test that and have some proof.
There's one thing about the triple bypass. I mean, everybody's talking about how great it will make your console sound, but it actually looks amazing. I mean, compared to my, I've got a JVC XI. Compared to that, it looks, night and day difference. It looks really,
we really spent a lot of time on that. Renee started the whole project in the beginning, and then continuing. Actually, it was really Jose and the people who are doing the current testing, Tien Fang or Timio and all that, and we really dug into that to make sure that we got the video just as good. So even things like, all right, well, if we're rearranging the board, if we put these components this close to the video amp, is there going to get any residual noise? And they did an amazing job on that. It's just as good, and it's the combination of removing signals from a noisy motherboard and isolating them, and now you're using a brand new amp with all high-end components on it, and it's all the levels come out perfect and more, because no two consoles will ever be exactly alike, but they'll always be in a better range. So if you put it on a scope, even if your console was way off before, it's still going to be closer to 700 millivolts than it would have previously. So it's just the video alone is no longer washed out. It's darker and better, and yeah, I love it. I think I'm very happy to have been even a small part of that project. And once the version 2 comes out, I'll try to do a fancy video on it to show it off to people. But whatever, I'm happy either way. It's cool that you got that installed, though. That's people who do really appreciate how the quality jump that you get from it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's things like that like want to spur me on to like my Sound Blasters, my AUD32, my 64, recapping my MT32. I've seen some of the caps leak, so I know I've got to recap this stuff. And I want to hear what it sounds like once I've got this all recapped. I mean, I play it still, it still sounds good and sounds comparable to what I remember. I can compare it to what people have recorded on YouTube, but I know once I recap, just like with the Genesis and all this, the other stuff that we've been finding and discovering in the community, all of that kind of, moves over to other stuff too. And I know when I recap this stuff, it's going to sound even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of like the era that we're in right now, I think it's terrible if you're just starting to get into it in terms of collecting games. But if you're trying to get audio and visual quality, you couldn't jump in at a better time.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially because of the whole, right when I started RetroRGB, there were still a bunch of people drilling Swiss cheese holes in the back of consoles and sticking composite video ports, thinking that they're upgrading these things. And I'm glad that all the mods that are out there now, people are really going the extra effort to not cut, because not only do you now enter a time where you can get awesome RGB mods for almost every console, if the next generation of mods come out, like a pure digital to digital mod or something, you could be able to do it on that same console without now just having a bunch of random holes in the back from the previous mod. So that's definitely makes me happy. I'm always sad when I see people bragging about upgrading their Sega Master System and they just have a line of holes around the back plastic with all the different outputs.
The old component mods.
Oh, yeah.
People did internal component mods.
Or remember the Genesis HDMI mods where they would the one notorious modder would just glue the composite to HDMI thing inside.
Inside.
Ugh, gross.
Yeah, I want to see more of those acrylic cases like that one company did with the Super Nintendo. I want to see someone take that idea and expand that. And because, I've got a busted up SNES, and I would love to take that and throw it in one of these brand new, acrylic, transparent cases and, maybe do a mod to it. And that way, you're not damaging the original case because, well, in this case, the original case is damaged, but the Super Nintendo's fine. So why not have someone out there make these new cases and put them up there for people to buy and throw in, their console into, and maybe make it a little more modular to where, the back plate maybe has different provisions for component or HDMI or whatever, future-proof it.
I couldn't agree more on that one. And I think, I don't know if you saw the interview with Rourke, but I think he's moving on to that. Oh, yeah, Ray with the crack in the Super Nintendo.
My Super Nintendo is the same. It's all busted in the back.
Always right in that spot, isn't it? For some reason.
So all you got to do, as long as you have the power and reset buttons from the original, you could just swap everything else over. That would be really great. And you're right. Yeah, I mean that's the type of thing. Aftermarket stuff, drill away, make it look like artwork. That's beautiful. That's why people should get aftermarket cases and stuff like that. But yeah, I agree. I'd love to see that, and I would do all of that stuff. I would make sure that all of the Super Nintendo outputs were broken out. I'd have like a little custom board made and everything right on there. So yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
And I remember the lifespan of the Dreamcast and the PS1. Like after market shells was so common, you literally could trip over one just walking by a store.
Not anymore, unfortunately.
That's so much harder to find. Yeah, it's impossible.
If I could, I'd buy the clear cases for everything. I think that would just be killer.
Yeah, same here.
I regret not picking up. I could have gotten a Dreamcast new inbox for, I think it was like 35 or something. And I didn't, because it's like, this stuff is, at the time, it's like, well, who's going to want, this is not going to, everyone's got a Dreamcast. And I mean, I had like 3 of them just like laying around the house. And like, this stuff is so, no one's going to want, like, yeah, famous last words. Famous last words.
Well, this was absolutely awesome. I think we hit the mark for just the perfect first writers podcast here. I really enjoyed this. As very strange as this is to say, I really enjoyed meeting Ronnie and Vanessa. I've been talking to you for so long. It's so funny that I'm saying meet you, but it's it is actually the truth. But I think this was awesome. I'd like to do this on a regular basis, maybe every couple of months or something, and for the first ones, I just wanted everybody to get to know all of you. And then maybe in the future we could talk a little bit more about the articles. But I think this was exactly what I had hoped it would be for the first one. Just kind of hanging out, getting to know, letting people get to know us, get to know each other a little bit better. And this was awesome. Thank you all for taking the time to do that, because we're stretched across many different time zones here.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yep, absolutely.
It's a pleasure.
awesome.
Yes.
Thanks for having us.
So
Yes, thank you. This
I
was
will have
awesome.
links to where to find all of you in the video post. This will be audio and video, just like all the other podcasts we do. And, obviously the article will be posted. So I'll have links to everybody here for people who want to follow. And, I said it before and I'll say it again. Thanks so much for all your contributions and all your opinions and everything that you do. It's absolutely awesome. And I'm really proud to be a part of all this. So thank you. Well, that turned out really great. So thank you very much for everybody that watched. Thanks for being patient with the Skype delay, as usual. And of course, please don't forget to support all of these amazing people. Most of the contributors of the site have something, whether it's a Patreon or their own YouTube channel or something like that. So even just to subscribe on somebody's channel is always a really great way to show your thanks. So thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.